Alex. I'm a knitter coming to you from Vancouver, Canada. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 flops and top 5 faves from my knitting in 2025. I thought a nice way to show you what I've worked on and kind of my style and help you get to know me a bit more as a knitter would be to show you my faves and my flops. So let's get right into it. I've got my first fave here for you, and it is the mini mock neck tank by Jessie Made Designs. I've got my project notes here, so I'm just going to read these off for you a little bit. So this is a fingering weight garment, and this is actually my second time making this pattern. I made it the first time back in the fall of 2024, and I'll show you that one in just a sec. But this chocolate brown one I made out of Sandnes Garn Sunday. Actually, I got this yarn on sale from my local yarn shop, and I think it might be a discontinued color, but yeah, it's this beautiful chocolate brown color, and I love the way it fits. I've got some B-roll too to show you how it fits and how it looks on. But yeah, it's really simple, pretty typical construction, knitting from the top down. You knit the back first, pick up for the shoulders, knit the front flat, join in the round at the underarms, and you actually end up knitting this little border here while you're knitting the garment, so it's just kind of a slip stitch on the end, and then 1 by 1 rib for the bottom, and you pick up for the collar. And one thing that I did end up doing both times, I tried doing an Italian bind off, but it was too tight to fit my head through, and also it was too tight on the bottom as well, so I ended up doing Jenny's super stretchy cast off, or bind off. So yeah, it's quite loose actually. I don't mind. I don't think it like really inhibits the fit. Like it doesn't flare out in like an annoying way or anything. It's pretty uniform, so I really like that, and I got a lot of wear out of it this fall, or I've been getting a lot of wear out of it this fall, and I love to pair it with my darling wrap, which I will show you in just one sec. But first I'll show you the first one that I made. It's kind of an honorable mention since it's the same pattern, and this is my poppy blue one. So this is the one that I knit last fall. It does look a little bit more snug, or like a little more shallow here. I'm not totally sure why. I knit medium, I knit the size medium for both. So this one is in Knitting for Olive Merino in poppy blue, and kind of the same situation. I ended up having to frog the bind off and do the super stretchy cast off or super stretchy bind off. I think I ended up keeping the, what do I call this? The Italian bind off for the collar. You can see it's like a little stained here just because it's a little hard to get on and off. So I think I got some makeup on it, and yeah, just haven't like properly, not that I haven't washed it, I think I need to put a little more attention into like getting out that little bit of a stain. But yeah, it's really cute. I ended up just needing 2 skeins of each, so 2 skeins of the brown and 2 skeins of this poppy blue to make this top. I didn't even use up the full skeins. I still had like a little bit left, so that was for the size medium for both. So this is kind of an honorable mention. It's not really a fave of 2025. It's not, it's literally not, because I made it in 2024, but I got a lot of wear out of it over the fall of 2024 into 2025. So this is kind of like my spring version, and then the brown is more my autumn version, but I can wear either. I cannot really wear this in the summer. Like the merino is too warm, so this is really good for those shoulder seasons, and even for like winter, like layering under cardigans and sweaters. It keeps me nice and warm but not too hot, so I really like that. Oh, and I guess the other thing I should say is I really like the design of this pattern. Like it feels really store-bought, and I love the kind of like minimalist design. I like how form-fitting it is as well. I find it pretty flattering, especially with so much of my knitwear being more like oversized, and it's nice to have something that's more negative ease and a little closer fitting to the body. It just feels a little more stylish and chic. Did you catch that? Whoa. So yeah, that's the mini mock neck tank. To pair with the brown version, I knit a darling wrap in the same merino. Here's my darling wrap by Knitting for Olive. This one I knit actually before I knit the mini mock neck. I bought the yarn all together with the plan of making them together as a set. So I have the Knitting for Olive book. So I followed the pattern in the book, and this one very well could have been a flop. I found it really challenging to make. You start the pattern by knitting the straps. And so you knit the straps. They're a little bit stretched out now because I've actually worn it a lot. And then it connects into knitting the body, and you knit the body from the bottom up and start knitting the bottom in 2x2 rib. You make the little hole for the strap to go through for it to wrap. And then you knit back and forth flat for quite a while until you hit the point of knitting the sleeves. And then I can't remember exactly like the order of things, but you have to knit the sleeves separately as well. So you knit the sleeves from the bottom up, and then you connect them at the underarm and you start doing the raglan decreases. And the first time that I tried to connect them, I read the pattern wrong and I ended up connecting the sleeves like here. So then the arms would have been like this. So this very well could have been a flop. It was like construction wise, it wasn't necessarily written in like the most easy way to understand, or at least not for me as someone who had never done a bottom up construction before and had never made a wrap cardigan before. It was like, it was pretty confusing, but I was able in the end to like unravel, redo it. And while it did feel kind of challenging and, you know, frustrating at times, I'm really happy with the end result. And I love wearing this. Like I feel really good in this. I especially love it with the mini mock neck tank, which I did knit later. So just to give you some more info on this, I used Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair. Shoot, I didn't put the proper color names in here. I'll see if I can find it and I'll put it in the description below. I want to say it was called chocolate, but I don't know that Knitting for Olive has a color called that. So I'll double check. But I used about 5 skeins of each. So I had 5 skeins of the Sunday and 5 skeins of the soft silk mohair. I think I had a little bit left over from each, you know, from the final skein of each, but not a lot. Like I used most of the 5 skeins. I would recommend, and I actually want to make this pattern again. I want to make it in a light pink. I think that, you know, the classic like ballet wrap situation. So I might do that, but you know, I gotta kind of be ready and like wanting another challenge. So we'll see. I don't have any yarn for that. Like I don't have like a pale pink that I would use. So yeah, that's kind of a distant in the future idea. Look at this cutie. So pretty. So this one is the Margaret tee by Joanna Gehrisch, and I used the Cascade Heritage in the color, oh I actually wrote the colors, good way to go me, in the color 5762 Stonewash. And the ruffle is knit with, what's it called? Berenice by Rerum Natura. And I used the color Petit Matin. And this, I really want to use this mohair again. This was my first time using it, and it is so soft. Oh, it was so nice to use. So yeah, would recommend. I mean, I've only used it on these little edgings. So I would love to have it in a full garment because yeah, it feels so nice. And I really like the way these colors look together. Obviously not like a perfect color match, but I think tonally they work so well. What can I say about this one? This is a very cute cropped top, or even I wear it as like a short sleeve cardigan. I think that's really cute, like over a tank top, even over a tighter fitting kind of baby tee, like white baby tee. And it's got these little I-cord ties at the front. It's got I-cord edging where the, I don't know if that's really visible here where the ruffle connects. Got a little I-cord there, and same thing on the bottom. This one is knit top down, and it's knit flat obviously because it's like cardigan style. There's raglan increases as well. I don't wear it a ton just because it's a little bit, you know, it's a bit of a look. Like I like wearing this to dress up, and I got some wear out of it in the summer when for evenings, like if I went out to a show or something and it was a little cooler in the evening. Because this is merino as well, it's not really like a fully summer garment, but I really liked using the merino because it helped with that kind of more negative ease fit. I think if I'd used something like a cotton, it would just be a little bit more flowy, and that wasn't really the look that I was going for. So, and I think this might be superwash. I have to double check. And this is my first time making a garment in superwash, which I've kind of stayed away from superwash just from what I've like heard from people online. I didn't find that this grew a ton in blocking. It grew a little bit, but like it didn't stretch out. Like it's still pretty close fitting, which I wanted. And again, I knit this size 3. So that one's that little cutie. Number 4, I was wearing this in my first episode, if you caught that, my knitting podcast. This is the Wilson sweater by Pernille Larsen, or Knitting for Olive. Got a couple Knitting for Olive patterns, I guess. Yeah, I'm a fan. And this is using the Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in Midnight and Knitting for Olive merino in Dusty Violet. And yeah, I talked about this one in the first episode, so I won't go on too long about this, but I really, really, really enjoyed making this. I just made this in September and I finished it very early October. I think it only took me about a month to knit, and I love the way these two colors look together. That marling, really pretty. And this is knit top down. It's got raglan increases. You start off doing the collar. You actually start off doing like all the hard stuff first. The collar and the twisted rib, which is really pretty. And then you connect it to the back. You do the back shaping, and then you connect in the front, and you have stitches on hold here, and you knit the front, and I think you knit the v-neck, I can't quite remember. And then from the stitches that you had on hold from the collar, you do a double knit button, or not button band, but a double knit band to create the v-neck, and they overlap, and then you connect them, and then you start knitting flat, and then you join in the round after the underarms, and then you get this cute little garment. At the end you do a sewn hem for the bottom, and I didn't do a great job of the sewn hem, to be honest. It doesn't look super clean. It looks fine from far away. It just, when I show it close up, I'm like, oh, I could have done that a little bit better. And you do that on the sleeves as well, which I found a little challenging. I hadn't really done that before, but I think it's cute and I like it. I really like this. This is like, I mean, it is my like latest finished object, so I find those are always my favorite. I just feel like this is a really timeless piece, and I can see wearing it for years to come. So really, really happy with that. All right. And then my last fave of 2025, I had said in my previous episode that I had knit the Norma last year, but I knit it this year. I knit it in January, February of 2025. She was just in storage, so it's a little creased from being folded, but I busted it out of storage so that I could show it in this episode. And I love this sweater. This is the Norma sweater by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And I knit this in Double Sunday, in Sandnes Garn Double Sunday, in the color Sailor in the Dark, and the Tynn Silk Mohair. I think it's the same color, or they're navy, I don't know, just like their navy Tynn Silk Mohair. And it's actually the same yarn that I used for this. So I had a few skeins left over for this slipover. This is the Novice slipover by Petit knit in Sailor in the Dark and the Tynn Silk Mohair, and I had a few skeins left over. So then I decided to buy more of them, which was actually kind of hard to find because it was a discontinued color. I think I'd bought this yarn because it was on sale at the yarn store, so then I had to do kind of a bit of a wild goose chase to find more of it, because got it in my head that I wanted to knit the Norma with this as the main color. I don't know how I thought of the lime green and the gray. It just, again, sometimes color combinations just come to me and I like really fixate on them and I just like, oh, I have to make that. So that's what happened in this case. This lime green is Sunny Lime by Sandnes Garn, and I used pure Gynt, not double Sunday, and then paired it with the Sunny Lime Tynn Silk Mohair. And the gray, I believe, is, oh yes, the gray is a leftover Alpaca yarn. It's like a local Canadian producer. My mom bought me it for Christmas. It's from Saskatchewan. She bought it from the farmer's market in where I'm from, in Prince Albert. And so this is like leftover because I had used most of it to make a cardigan. They're called Prairie Fire. I'll put it in the description box, but yeah, very small local producer. And I paired it with Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the color, oh shoot, I'm forgetting the color. I want to say it's something Morning. I'll see if I have it in my notes. I wasn't very good about keeping track of the color names, as you know from before. So we'll see if I actually put the proper color names and numbers. Yeah, okay, I did. Yay me. So the soft silk mohair for the gray is called Morning Haze. I used about 0.7 skeins of that mohair, half a skein of the Prairie Fire Alpaca. It's Cashmere Merino Alpaca. That's the yarn composition. And then for the Sandnes Garn Double Sunday, I used 7 skeins of Sailor in the Dark. And Sunny Lime, I used 1.5 skeins. For the Tynn Silk Mohair in Navy, I used 3.5 skeins. And for Tynn Silk Mohair in Sunny Lime, I used 0.7 skeins. And those are kind of estimates because I actually don't have a scale. So that would be much more accurate if I was actually weighing the yarn to know how much I had left. So it's kind of an eyeball situation. Not the most accurate, but I love this. I wore this a lot. This was in storage still because it's pretty warm. This is for like the coldest days. We're not quite there yet. We're only in November. And yeah, so once we hit kind of like December, January, I'll be getting more wear out of this. This was also my first ever colorwork sweater. So yeah, I just loved knitting this pattern. Another raglan construction, beautifully oversized. I knit a size 3. I'm basically always a size 3, or like what I would consider like a medium. I started it February 16th, 2025, and I finished it on March 10th. So just under, I was really addicted to knitting this. So I think I knit this pretty quickly. I was more of a monogamous knitter too back then, like less than a year ago. I feel like I've really gone from like beginner to sort of like advanced beginner. And as my skills have increased, I've also increased my number of projects that I'm working at in one time. So at this point, I think I was working on this pretty monogamously, so I got it done pretty fast. All right, so the honorable mention here, I've already talked about it, but this is for sure one of my most worn handmade items ever. This was my second garment that I ever made. This is the Novice Slipover by Petit Knit. And like I said, I made this in the same combination as the Norma sweater. Sailor in the Dark, Merino, and Tynn Silk Mohair in navy, the navy color. Okay, I think I made this before I even started using Ravelry. So I don't actually have the notes for this. But yeah, I made it in early 2024 and I've worn it a ton. This is like one of my favorite basics patterns. I was never like a sweater vest person before. Like I never had like store-bought sweater vests. That wasn't really part of my, wardrobe or like style. But I find that it fits my aesthetic so well, and it really helps me feel kind of like casual and chic at the same time. And that's basically always what I'm going for. Yeah, I love wearing it, and I'm planning to make another one. Maybe not this pattern again, like I totally would make this pattern again, but I do really want like a V-neck sweater vest, and so I'll talk about that in a later video. But Yeah, honorable mention, not a fave of 2025, but kind of like an all-time fave. So switching gears here, I'm going to talk about my 2025 flops. And I want to caveat this by saying that all of these flops are still items that I wear. I'm kind of lucky enough that I haven't had, with the exception of like one or two items, I haven't really had like a full-on flop where I, at least for a finished garment, like I think I've started things and then maybe frogged them if they weren't working out. For all of the items that I'm going to show you, I've still worn them. I still really like the projects, but there's something about them that, you know, they're a bit of a flop, or they're not my favorites, or something went like kind of horribly wrong when I was trying to make it, and it was just kind of a, you know, real challenge to get through in a way that, like, where the darling wrap was like really challenging to get through, it still gave me a garment that I'm like so happy to have in my wardrobe. And I've got one or two items where it was like really challenging and it didn't quite turn out like how I would have wanted it. So that's what's kind of put it in the flop category. I've got an item where I really like it and I really liked making it, but I actually find it like kind of hard to style. I don't know if I like love the fit after all. So that's sort of where we're heading with these. So the first one that I'll start with, oh, I can't even tell, I can't even tell where the top is. Okay, this is blouse number 2 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. It looks huge, it looks like a tent. So this one I actually had started in winter of 2024, I think like November, December. I really wanted to make this as like my holiday sweater or top, you know, to wear for Christmas. And I just found the stitch pattern to be so, I hadn't done a textured, is that true? Yeah, I hadn't really done like a textured knit before, so I didn't know what I was doing. I used a cotton yarn, and it's because I fell in love with the color. If you watched my first episode, I really love red, but I find them really hard to wear. I find like a red that suits me to be really hard to find. And this one I think actually does suit me, and I do like the way, I love the way it looks. This is Juniper Moon Farm Ultimate Pima in the color Maraschino. So I guess that's kind of telling as to like what kind of reds suit me. More that cherry red, slightly pinkish in tone rather than like an orangey red. I misread how much yarn I needed for this project. So like as I was going through it, I realized I would not have enough. And the yarn store that I had bought it from were sold out, so I ended up having to order a skein from a yarn store in Calgary that I'd never ordered from, and they only had one skein. So I was playing major yarn chicken. I basically lost my game of yarn chicken. I had to make my sleeves so short, and even making them this short, like this one, the bind off is so much tighter because I did some like weird crazy thing to try to bind off because I literally had no yarn left. I don't think I gauge swatched for this. If I had gauge swatch, I would have had some yarn that I could have frogged from the swatch to use. And yeah, I just really didn't understand how to read the stitch pattern, so it's pretty uneven. I don't think you can really tell when I'm wearing it. I finally got the hang of it. You can see at the bottom and like on the sleeves, they're pretty even. Like it's like a regular pattern for the most part. Yeah, really pretty, like super nice. I would totally make this pattern again now that I understand it, but the front looks like kind of wonky. I really was not getting it. Here's the back. So you start with the back and you start with just like stockinette stitch with some short rows for shaping, and then you go into the pattern. And yeah, you can tell like I just didn't understand the pattern. But it's still kind of cute on. I actually really like layering this with, I've got like a white ribbed boat neck shaped top, and I actually really like wearing it with that. It's kind of cool, or I think it's cool. But yeah, it was sort of challenging me at every turn, and then pair that with the yarn chicken, it was kind of, yeah, it was a bit of a disaster, and it was quite frustrating. So a little bit of a flop, but I still like it. And yeah, this is my only red item in my entire wardrobe, and so I hope to make something else that's red and maybe something that's like a little less frustrating to make. No shade on the pattern. Honestly, I think it was just my inexperience. I want to make this one again. I think it's a really beautiful pattern. So second flop. Okay, I made this summer. This is actually my second version of this one. And I was really hoping to kind of correct the mistakes that I had made the first time that I knit this. So this is the Amy top, or top Amy. I don't know, she always names them in like kind of the reverse order of how I would say it, but the Amy top, I knit this with Holst Garn Coast in the color California Blue. And Coast is a cotton wool blend. I don't remember if it's cotton merino or if it's something else. Let me look. California Blue, I used 4 skeins of it, and I didn't use all 4. I had bought 4 skeins and I held them double. So Holst Garn Coast is a light fingering weight, and it's 55% wool, 45% cotton. And this is a DK weight pattern, so I held it double, light fingering coast, to achieve a DK weight. And the construction is really cool. It was my first time doing like the V-neck, doing the double knit band, and also doing a polo neck collar. The first time I had knit it, I used Sandnes Garn Tynn, and I also held it double to achieve the DK weight gauge. I didn't use just regular Lina because I had leftover Tynn in my stash, so I wanted to use that. Overall, I really like this top. However, I think that it could be the material that I used, although it did also do this with the Tynn with the collar just kind of curls. It's actually curls kind of worse in this one than the other one, so it might have to do with the material, or maybe I just did this too tightly and so it just rolls. With my white one, I should say I used a white color for the first version of this. I actually ended up kind of tacking this down, like kind of sewing this down so that it wouldn't roll so much. And I might do the same with this one. I didn't, because I kind of made it more towards the end of the season. I thought maybe if I just steamed it every time I wore it, it would help keep those corners down. And it does help. Like, this one has been kind of folded for a bit, so I think that's another reason why it's sort of curling. But yeah, that was just kind of a bummer. It makes it just a little bit less wearable because I'm sort of fussing with it. But I do really like the color. This was my first time using Holst Garn Coast, Holst Garn in general. It did really soften up in blocking, but it is not quite, like, it's still a relatively, I wouldn't go so far as to say rustic because it has cotton in it, so it's not, I don't find it itchy, it's just not like the softest. And because there is a higher content of wool in it, 55% wool, it is a little too warm to wear like in the warmest days of summer. But I did wear this in the summer, just, you know, like more kind of towards into August, like to when the weather started cooling down. So yeah, definitely love the pattern, like how the design of it. I just hadn't really mastered, I guess, the techniques to make it like a really successful knit. So that's that one. Next flop. This one I feel bad calling a flop because there's nothing wrong with it. I really like it. This is the Lacy Loop sweater by Other Loops. This was my first time knitting anything by Other Loops. And I really like the colors that I used, but the colors are part of why this is a little bit of a flop. I really like these colors, but I don't know if it's because I wear so many blue jeans, but I find them hard. I find this sweater hard to pair with the clothes that I have. So I only ever wear this with a tank top underneath. Considering there's all these eyelets, so many holes, it's actually a really warm garment. So I thought this would be kind of a spring summer sweater, and it is, but I do find it pretty hot to wear. So I think I'll get some more wear out of it this fall winter. For the main color, I used the Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Dusty Aqua and the matching silk mohair. And then for the contrast color, the stripes here, I used Knitting for Olive Soft Mint in Cotton Merino and Soft Mint Mohair. So really lovely colors. I do find like, I think these look good on me, or you know, it's a good color combination. I don't know if it's my best color, but I wouldn't say it's bad. Yeah, and I really loved it. Like I really love the idea of it. I just find in practice it's harder for me to put an outfit together with it, and I notice when I'm wearing it I don't always feel my best. Like I don't quite feel, it's not like with this, like whenever I wear this I feel kind of like polished and like I don't have to think about it, and I just feel kind of like stylish and like casual and chic and good. And with this one it's just a little bit more of a tricky one for me. I don't know, I love the idea of it, but I'm not sure if it was like totally right for me potentially. Maybe that comes down to the color. I also knit it quite long, like longer than I've knit anything. And so it's a little awkward to tuck in sometimes. I also knit the sleeves super long and they're pretty wide as well. Like there's not much of a taper. So yeah, you'll see in the B-roll how it fits. And I do think it's still cute, but it's just a little bit of a flop. Just a little. I don't know. It's not, ultimately it hasn't been one of my faves, and I really thought it would be. I was so excited to knit this. One thing about this one is I loved the sample photo in the light blue. Like that's kind of what I was going for, but I couldn't find anything that was like that kind of minty when I was looking. I wish I'd kind of waited longer and like looked a little harder, because I went with this kind of like more dusty turquoise or aqua, whatever. I think if I had gone with something that was a little closer to her sample, I might like it better, because I do, as you can see from all my garments, I obviously love wearing blue. It's like all I wear. Yeah, again, I knit the third size. I used just over 4 skeins of the Knitting for Olive Mohair and Dusty Aqua. So I wrote that I used 4.25 skeins of the Dusty Aqua, and then about 0.75 skeins of the matching, 3.75 skeins of the matching Mohair. And then for the contrast color in Soft Mint, I used about 0.75 skeins of the Merino. And I don't think I said, so they didn't have an exact matching Mohair for Soft Mint, so I used the color Eucalyptus for the Mohair for the lighter color, and I used about 0.75. I've just got one more flop to mention, and again, I had talked about this one in my first podcast, my last episode, my first ever knitting podcast. I knit the Luma pullover by Sari Nordland, and I actually used Prairie Fire alpaca that I mentioned in that gray stripe in the Norma sweater. I actually went to her alpaca farm when I was back in Saskatchewan visiting my mom in March. We drove to their farm out near Purdue, Saskatchewan. There's only one gray alpaca in the whole pack or herd? I don't know. At her farm there was one gray alpaca, and that was the alpaca that my yarn came from for my cardigan. It was so wild to see like the actual animal. It was so special. She has like her own little shop there and a little shed, so I went and picked out some alpaca to make the Luma pullover, and I knit that, and it was so exciting to make, and then it ended up being too small. So I gave that to my sister as a birthday present. So that was nice. So I'm calling it a flop for me, just because, you know, I didn't get to wear it, but ultimately, like, I'm hoping that will be a holiday sweater that she enjoys wearing. And so not a total flop in general. And I'm really excited to make the Luma again for myself. And I've already had one pass of the pattern, so hopefully it'll be even easier, like reading the charts. And then another flop for me is this Sophie scarf. So I knit this using a Rowan yarn, which I'd never used Rowan before. And I used Rowan Baby Cashmere Merino. I used 1 skein of it in the color Denim, and it feels really nice. However, there is some acrylic in here, and I don't know if it's just me being snobby, but there's something about the feel that kind of irks me. I just don't I just don't love it. I don't know, it doesn't feel as cozy as 100% natural fibers. But ultimately why I don't wear this is just I find it weird to style. I made it a little extra long because I thought that would make it easier to style, but I think that actually made it worse. So I just don't reach for this one. My honorable fave, which again, you would have seen in the last episode if you watched that. This was my other finished object. This is the Alex scarf by Knitting for Olive. And I knit this in a beautiful cashmere merino alpaca yarn that I got in Newfoundland. I'm obsessed with this scarf. I love wearing it. It's so soft. I love the length of it. It's a lot more like practical. It like actually functions as like an actual scarf that will keep you warm and not just like some kind of like accessory. So yeah, I just find this one way more practical and I love the feel of it. So that is my fave. And that about wraps up everything I wanted to talk about today. I hope it was cool to see some of my past projects and gave you a sense of what I like to knit. And I'm looking forward to recording my next video. I've got a couple ideas of what I want to do, and I'm working away at my current whips too. So I will have a regular podcast episode for you in the next little while. I don't know exactly when, but yeah, I'm excited. I've been having a lot of fun filming and just thinking of ideas and sharing what I've worked on. So I hope you're enjoying it too. Please like and subscribe if you do like it, and let me know what you're working on. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.